few years ago, a mouse meant a small furry thing which ate cheese, but nowadays it's also something for controlling your computer. If you've ever used a mouse, you'll know that underneath there's a little ball, that's it there. And as you move the mouse, the ball rolls and the pointer on the screen moves in the same direction. So I can move the pointer to an object on the screen and select it by clicking. The mouse has become the easiest way to interact with your computer. But how about using something even easier than the mouse's plastic ball? Your own eyeball. Over here, Carmen's using a system which will let you operate existing computer software by simply looking at the screen. Now, you can't actually talk while you're using this system, so while Carmen concentrates on playing a game of patience, I'll explain how the system works. Two cameras are watching the movement of Carmen's eyes, and you can see their images displayed on the upper monitors there. To make its job easier, the system simplifies those images, concentrating on the circles formed by the pupils. By tracking their position, the system guides the pointer. But that's only half the problem solved. Once you've moved the pointer to an object on the screen, you need to be able to select it. With a mouse, you'd click on it, but with this system, all you have to do is wink. Well, by winking, Carmen can select a card. She's just trying to concentrate on which card she's going to select. It's actually quite hard to concentrate your eyes to get just the right coordination. But the idea is that once you've blinked and picked up a card, you can then use the other eye to move it to the position that you want to take it. It's rather difficult putting somebody under this pressure to actually get it moving. But if we just blink there, pick it up. Anyway, originally, vision experts at Loughborough and computer experts at De Montfort University developed this system to allow severely disabled people to work with computers. But eventually, it could replace mice everywhere. Well, this, as you can see, is obviously only an experimental setup. But all this technology could be shrunk drastically. Just imagine operating a computer by looking through a pair of spectacles with specially set up built-in cameras. What do you think about that then, Carmen?
It's blinking marvellous. Now, here's a little bit of news. The Guinness Book of Records have just acquired a new entry for the world's smallest robot. And it is small. Nope, even smaller. It actually weighs just over 4 grams and is about the size of a raisin. The micro-bot is charged up through its tail, giving it 4 minutes of battery power. At the moment, its behaviour is fairly limited. All it can do is trundle along at 15 millimetres a second, using photosensors in its eyes to turn it towards a light. It's made from 98 even smaller components, and it's the ability to combine these tiny parts, such as the motor, into a working whole that makes the microbot more than a publicity stunt. The Japanese scientists who developed it are planning microbots for all sorts of delicate work in inaccessible places. But for the moment, at £300, the microbot's merely one of the world's most exclusive executive toys.
Geraldine Deacon is an epileptic. Her fits have affected her life so severely that she's decided it's time for radical treatment.
I used to black out and used to wake up with black eyes. I used to bite my lips, bite my jaws, and I used to foam at the mouth and jerk, and that's what happens.
Geraldine's tried all the conventional treatments, but without success. When drugs fail, epilepsy can sometimes be treated by removing the part of the brain which is the source of the fits. In Geraldine's case, it's this area here, but that's also crucial for memory, so surgeons must remove the absolute minimum. It's extremely difficult, but surgeon David Sandeman is pioneering a new technique to make these operations safer.
The brain, once damaged, has very little capacity to recover, and that makes it necessary to be that much more precise. It all looks exactly the same, a sort of grey, uniform appearance, and it really is very difficult to orientate oneself within the brain substance.
Imagine how useful it would be if neurosurgeons could have a navigation system for guiding them around the brain. Well, this new equipment can do that because it produces a three-dimensional image, a detailed map, which surgeons can use to plan and carry out their operations. This model has been built up from conventional scans, slices of a patient's brain. But once in the computer, the surgeon can choose any view he likes, cross-sections from the side, the front or the top. The main value to the surgeon, though, is that in the operating theatre, the computer is linked to this arm with a probe at its tip. Now, when the probe is moved, the picture moves too, so you know exactly where you are inside the brain. It speeds up simple operations, and it makes it safer to operate on people with problems deep inside the brain.
People like Geraldine, for whom this operation is the final hope.
You couldn't go out anywhere because you were worried, because you didn't know when you would have the big fits. And then this, when I said that's what worried me most, and there's the kids as well. I said, it's got to be sorted out, I said, because my children, I don't want them took away from me. I said, I didn't want to do if my kids was took away from me.
In the operation, David Sandeman will use the new system to guide both surgical instruments and measuring probes that can locate the exact source of Geraldine's fits.
This is the maximum area that I am planning to have to remove tomorrow. And this is the probe that we're going to be using to record the electrical activity within her brain. But what I'd like to do is to record from the back part of this area here and from the front part here, which is the called the amygdala. And if we can localize the origin of her fit to one or other of these, then we're going to be able to do a much more selective removal than even this area that shows on the screen.
It's early the next morning, and Geraldine's being prepared for what will be a major operation.
You got them held? Yeah. Bipolar, please.
The electrode has to be placed in exactly the right position, not deep enough, and the surgeons will be unable to identify the area responsible for the fits. Just a little too deep, and healthy tissue could be permanently damaged.
Oh, Ian, look at this. Look down the screen. That's where we were working. That's where the one says I'm in it. Oh, that's a fantastic picture, isn't it?
The readings from the probe appear on a pen trace. With the probe in position, the top trace from the tip of the electrode locates the area responsible for Geraldine's fits.
We'll see what happens to the rifle.
Yeah.
David Sandeman has identified the affected part and, just as he hoped, needs to remove just a small amount, using the probe to find the shortest route through the featureless grey tissue.
I think I've done the operation.
The operation's over. It's been a long, hard day, but it would have been even longer without the new system. It'll be several weeks before we know if Geraldine's operation's been a success. An anxious time for her, because so much is at stake. Geraldine's still recovering, but it's now 3 months since that operation, and she hasn't had a single major attack. And with that piece of very good news, good night.
Mission Control, are you videoing this?
No, we can't afford a TV license.
But you can spread the payments over a year now.
4 equal installments? Oh, go get one.
Hurry up, you idiot. We can't stay up here all day.
Oh, me flies.
Did you hear that? I think I'll order a television.
I'm fed up looking at this wall.
Right, get me one direct debit and one television, please. Oh, and a side salad. Thank you.
Here, mate.
Well, that was quick.
Pays you go, you see. Just £22 a quarter.
Look there, those astronauts.
It's good value, isn't
Yes,
it?
marvellous fun.
For more information on the TV licence budget scheme, call the helpline 0272 769 100. That's 0272 769 100.
Marvellous.
Gran declares herself an agony aunt in half an hour here on BBC1, giving the readers of Shades magazine the benefit of her wisdom, whether they like it or not. And someone who could do with some advice now is Zoe, who's frankly finding motherhood a bit of a drag.
That should keep you quiet for a bit. How did they manage to fit such a large Ferris wheel into such a tiny body? You sure you're not made in Japan?